Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show. Broadcasting on 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I am Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
Steve, unfortunately, is a little bit sick. He sent me a text today saying that he felt that he was gargling with broken glass.
Oh,
he's got a really sore throat.
That sounds like strep throat.
I've told him to go and suck a fisherman's friend, so I believe he's headed to Steveston as we speak, waiting for the boats to come in. He'll be right as rain in the morning.
Are you sure he wasn't calling from Cultus Lake?
Yeah, I think this is all just a ploy. I think he wanted to do early trick-or-treating, or he may have fallen over a boat. Who can say?
I'm joking. This is nice that we're both sitting down.
Yeah. I usually stand.
Yeah, I often stand too.
Yeah. So I'm working the boards tonight, so...
Error-free.
The podcast will be spot on. Those of you listening live, this could be an adventure. It's been a while. I can't remember what buttons to press for some things.
It's okay. It gives you a deeper appreciation for all that Steve does.
It does. If I didn't appreciate Steve before, by the end of tonight, I definitely will. I'm pretty sure of that. But we've got a great show in store. Steve's missing out. He's probably listening at home in his sick bed, I'm sure, or in the car on the way to Steveston. We are going to talk CPL Championship. We're going to talk Whitecaps. We're going to talk MLS. And it's a couple of days before Halloween, a very special time of the year, because it's my wedding anniversary on Halloween. And we're going to celebrate Halloween on this show. It's a little bit before. We didn't want to do it after, so we're going to play some spooky-themed songs, and we're going to have, if I finish writing this over the course of this show, by the time we get to part 3, we're going to have a fun Halloween section as well. Right now, it's all in my head, and as my wife will tell you, that's usually not a good thing. But we're going to kick things off with CPL. I thought, it's the off-season. Let's look at what the most important stories of the week are every week now that we do the show. So last week we kicked things off with the national team. Today, it has to be CPL. This was a championship game after all, or one of the two. So we've got to talk about it. Not that we have to. We want to talk about it. Let's just say that. It's the ending of what has been a very exciting year. Everyone was so buzzing about the first season of CPL, and on the whole, and we'll talk about this more once the season's finished, because we've got a number of interviews that we're going to bring you with some key players and management and stuff from the CPL. But I've enjoyed this season. In some ways, it's sad that it's come to an end, because it's been a nice little diversion and distraction from MLS and covering the Whitecaps. So that's given me a lot of joy, but it's been very, very enjoyable, Zach.
Yeah, I think it. I think on the most part, most people are super encouraged by the first year. Yeah, there's lots of obviously room to grow, but when you look at where we were a year ago from now, no league, no games, no stadiums. Well, some stadiums, I guess, but things have come quite a way, and it's really. Yeah, just really encouraging is how I think of the first year in the Canadian Premier League. The off-the-pitch stuff, I think there's a lot of growing pains there.
Yeah.
On the field, I think there's a lot of, like we've said many times throughout the course of the year, it's been maybe even better than we thought it might be.
It has for me. I keep telling people that when I'm doing their interviews, when I'm asking them what they think of him. Like, it's way better than I expected. It has been. And the final, you weren't in the section when we talked about this last week's act, so actually I'll throw this out to you right away. The final. Cavalry won the spring season. Cavalry won the fall season. Overall, combined points total, they finished 6 points, more points than what second place Forge FC
It felt
had.
like more than that, didn't it?
It did. And when you work it out and it's only 6, you're like,
wait, what?
Oh, that's really lot closer than I thought. I know this is how it was spelled out at the start. This is what it was going to be. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I know they're trying to do something a little bit different. I'm not a fan of playoffs either, so David Clanican appears not to be a fan of playoffs either. He's talked about that's not really what the league wants to do. So they've tried something different. They've kind of followed a little bit of what you have elsewhere in the world, Mexico, South America, with the Clausura and Apertura and stuff like that. With the spring, the fall season. It's not new in North America. NASL had it as well. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. The fact that Cavalry won both, to me, it devalues the championship game a little bit if they don't win. But yeah, it's what everyone signed up to. But just what are your feelings on it?
As I was listening to you guys yesterday, I did have to tend to agree with Stephen a little bit in terms of you can't change things. But there's definitely a level of awkwardness to it. And I think part of the awkwardness for me, Michael, comes from the fact that you have kind of the ideal in world football in terms of the best team in your league is the team that does it over the ideally balanced league campaign, and that is the most sought after and recognized champion or winner within a country. So you have that on one hand, which I think the Canadian Premier League is trying to reconcile or trying to emulate, at least in some way. But then you have North America, which loves its playoffs. And that's okay too. It's a different culture, a different way. This is one of the things I think MLS has not done really well, and I'm hoping over time the CPL can get well. I think MLS far too much devalues the supporter shield, both in like logistically, but also their commentators, the people who talk about their league, the people who are paid by the league to talk about the league, devalue it. And I would love to see the Canadian Premier League be able to do something where the team that wins the league, that is the best team over all the league matches, that is deemed to be the highest award you can win. But then why couldn't they do like a cup at the end of the season? So, instead of like other countries around the world where you have the league and cup running concurrently, why not just do the cup at the end of the year where everyone's in? It can be open cup. Everyone's in, and you see who wins the cup, and you can have that whole playoff atmosphere going on for whatever, a month, or for the CPL, I guess, would be maybe a month at kind of this stage of things. Just to change, I don't know, to change things up a bit. I think this is an opportunity maybe MLS has really missed. Of course, then you have people say, well, then, the regular season, what does that mean? It doesn't really get you anything. Yeah. But maybe that is the seeding for the cup or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's never going to be anything that pleases everyone.
No.
It's the nature of football just in general. But that's a very interesting idea, because I have seen a few people make comments this week. Dwayne Rollins was one of them.
Dwayne commented on something?
Yeah, and this is quite ironic considering how much he's gone on about trophies, not friendlies, over the years. He said it felt, I'm sure it was Dwayne, if it's not, I'm sorry for misquoting him, but he said it feels like the other teams should be playing friendlies right now because it's way too early for the season to end. And it's like, why would you be wanting to just play meaningless games at this point?
That seems like a really awkward comment.
In some ways, the season, it feels a bit early, but MLS regular season is over. And you also have to start thinking about the weather coming into play as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which it looks like the CPL's dodged a bullet this year, because it doesn't look like it's going to be too bad in Calgary.
Well, it's not great now, but it's supposed to get better.
Yeah. It's horrendous tonight and tomorrow, because I checked. -18 it said tonight, or it felt like -18.
They get Chinooks in Calgary, I'm told. So that's what I think, though. I think they need to find a way to value who wins the league. And I think long-term, they need to get away from Aperture clubs. I'm okay with it now. I'm fine with it now. But I think they do need to have this is our champion.
Yeah, but the amount of clubs in it hasn't helped either, because
no, not at all.
That's been a big part of
it. It doesn't help when you have an uneven number of teams also that doesn't, hinders things.
I mean, it ended up the final. It's been between the two best teams all year round. So there's that. So that's a plus. By the end of the final, though, it's going to be 9 meetings across all competitions between these two teams.
Okay, so I hear people complaining about this.
Yeah.
You were around at the USL. There were seasons where Vancouver played Montreal 9 times in a year. Do you not remember that?
Back in the USL days?
Yeah. We played
because there was the playoffs and we met.
And Voyageurs Cup.
Yes, yeah.
So we had 2 Voyageurs Cup games, 2 playoff games, and then we played 4 or 5 times in the regular season.
I know back in Scotland, East Fife would sometimes play teams 6 or 7 times because the cup draws more if there was replays and stuff. And we started to hate it just because you're just seeing the same teams over and over and over again. The plus point, at least, was the championship game was on CBC, and there's not been many games on CBC. Yeah. So to the viewing public, they won't have seen these teams too often play each other.
But anyone who tuned in, known that these teams have seen a lot of each other.
Well, right. Let's get into the game, and we'll rattle through bits of the game. I'm going to have some audios as well from post game. By the end of everything, Forge FC head into the second leg with the narrowest of 1-0 leads over Cavalry. You hoped it was going to be a good showcase for the league because it was the top 2 teams, the 2 best teams by a mile in the league. And you thought it would be because of the games between them. There's real needle between them. There's real animosity between them. Tommy Wheeldon said afterwards, there's no hate between the teams. He's going to say that. I'm pretty sure there's hate between the teams. The first half for me started quite slowly. I ended up fast-forwarding through a lot of the first half because I was delayed because I'd headed out to Langley to get myself some black pudding and pies from Black Pudding Imports. Yes. And I got home and I thought, okay, the boxing's on. I wanted to watch the boxing.
Yeah, so you text me and said, no spoilers, please. Yep. I'm watching it on delay. So okay. So as I started watching it, I wanted to text you and be like, do you want me to give any comment whether you should watch or not? Because at the beginning it was not super.
Yeah.
I was going to send you a message and be like, the beginning's not great. But then I thought
it was interesting because a lot of folk thought Cavalry would maybe just go try and get an away goal, get on the board early, and they sat back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Forge played some lovely football, and after that, the game exploded. And
literally
talking points galore, which is great because it's got folk talking about this. We ended up with 1 goal, 2 sending offs, 3 times the ball hit the woodwork. Factor in a saved penalty, a wonder goal, some horrible refereeing, I felt. 2 teams, as I said, that feels that they genuinely dislike each other. And it was good stuff. On national TV, people got to see it. Come to that in a little bit as well. But the main talking point started 8 minutes before half-time. Forge won a penalty. Joe Waterman of Cavalry got sent off. BC lad. Seen him play a lot for Trinity Western over the years. Seen him play in the USL, PDL as well.
Yeah. How did you feel about the sending off?
Well, first of all, the penalty. It's harsh, but it's a penalty to me because it hit his arm. I don't think you've got any complaints. The sending off, and there's been some discussion. Was it a sending off for the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, or was it a sending off for deliberate handball? Now, it was not deliberate handball, which is what Tommy Wheeldon thought the sending off was for immediately in the aftermath of it. Did he deny a clear goal-scoring opportunity? Hard to say, but there is every chance Borges would have been in on an open goal. I felt the sending off, though, was harsh. Not just because I wanted Calgary to win, and I know Joe Waterman personally. I thought it was very, very harsh for a cup final to send him off for that.
I figured it was a cup final. I thought there's no more double jeopardy like that.
Yeah. And this is where it comes in. There's the new rules, but the CPL's not playing with the new rules, as far as I understand, because the new rules came in halfway through the season. Unless they did adopt it for the fall season, and I missed that. And if I did, I'm sure someone will correct me. But yeah, the double jeopardy thing, it's meant to have gone.
Yeah.
And it was double jeopardy for them. Very harsh. You felt it was going to change the game. You felt it was going to ruin the game. And to be honest, if Forge had taken the chances, it would have ruined the game. And I think it would have also made the second leg kind of moot, because Forge could have been out of sight with the chances that they created. But they gave away the penalty. Borges stepped up. Our boy Marco
Carducci. I remember I was watching with my son. I said, "Son, you have to watch this." And I think I said, "Do you think he's going to score?" And I think my son said, "Yeah." I said, "Son, you're wrong."
I said to Caitlin, Mark is going to save this. Yeah. We have seen him over the years save so many penalties from about 14 or 15 years old.
Totally.
I've got a video up on our YouTube channel of, I think, his first game for the Whitecaps where he saves a penalty as well. And you just sensed that they were going to get it. He went the wrong way, but his legs didn't. Yeah. That was the main thing, so his legs stopped it. That's the problem when you hit it down the centre. You always risk a keeper getting his legs to it.
Especially at that height.
Yeah.
But still, well done for Marco
to...
Well done for Marco to...
Yeah, made himself big, kicked it out, and you thought, ho, Cavalry's dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
Before that, Becker had hit the bar for Forge. And Becker and Borges were certainly running rampant, causing a lot of problems for Cavalry. I'm going to get this Cavalry thing... The more I say it over the whole night, I'm going to get this wrong. But then, a minute into stoppage time, technically a second over the minute, but I don't think the referee could have blown. Ball ends up in the back of the net. It's 1-0 Forge. It's a great strike from Borges. And you think, Cavalry's in real trouble here. I felt that.
I felt as well as I felt Marco did on the PK. When you watch it, well, even actually when I watched it the first time, his reaction was like he felt like
stood still.
Well, looked like he thought it was going wide.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the one he would want to have back, I think.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean he would have gone to it, but I think he would have wanted.
It was well struck, and even if he dived, I do think that was going in the back of the net. It was well placed. Borges.
I fell for him on that one.
The man that created all the talking points, it seems, in this game. Brought down for the penalty, misses the penalty, scores the opening goal, and then has an early bath. Because Forge dominated the match, and at one point, they had over 70% of the possession. The talking point, though, comes in the 69th minute. Your friend, Jay Wheeldon, clatters into Borges on a tackle.
Given a yellow card.
Appropriately. There's a lot of folk missed because they thought it wasn't a foul or it wasn't a yellow card, but it's like, no, it was definitely given a yellow card. I thought that could have been a red.
Yeah.
Because I thought both players were going to get sent off.
Yeah, so did I.
I knew Borges was going to get sent off because he kicked out, and I just thought the referee's just going to have seen the kick. I'm not saying I feel it was a worthy red card, but when a referee sees a player kick like that and react, Wheeldon goes down holding his face, it felt like it was going to be a sending off. What did you think of the whole incident?
Did you think the kick-out was that bad?
No. No. But because he raised his feet and where the referee was, I thought the referee's going to give red just because of the reaction.
Was it a little...
I don't even think he kicked out because I don't think he made any contact.
No, I know, and Jay was grabbing his face.
Yeah. He just put his feet up in the air to try and wriggle out of it. There's going to be an appeal.
Oh, yeah. It was
announced today. I don't know what the appeal system is in CPL, if they have their own discipline panel.
Here's the thing. Even though they're appealing this, they probably won't get a ruling until after.
Oh yes, of course, with the whole Kyle Becker thing. How long did that one take?
or the racial slur, or the racial comments.
Forge are involved in all of these things. There's a special Forge panel. Folk are saying, no, it has to get appealed because this is where we fall into difficult territory because there's not VAR in CPL. And I think if there was VAR, I'm not sure he would have been sent off. And I think Wheeldon may have got sent off. So do you overrule it? And if you overrule it, folk in Cavalry will be like, you're only overruling it because he's the league's top goal scorer and you want him for the showcase game. If you don't overrule it, folk are going to say, that's terrible because he shouldn't have been sent off. It's going to ruin the final. You're giving an advantage to Cavalry because you're keeping Forge's best player off. So it's tough here. There's a no-win situation for them. But if you're going to do the right thing, I think you have to rescind it. And I think Borges has to play in that second leg.
I kind of hope he doesn't.
I hope he doesn't as well because I want Cavalry to win.
Yeah.
Sorry, David Edgar, but...
Oh, yeah, David Edgar.
Who also hit the bar, one of the people that hit the bar in the game.
You're right. Yeah, but I do unfortunately think that he is going to be able to play in the final. This photo shoot's really heating up. Can I give you a quick thing from our friend Greg Petrie?
Of course.
Squizzato did did a 2-tweet thing about it. Can I just read it? I haven't read it, so I'm reading this live. This is from everyone's friend Daniel Squizzato. Okay, I still haven't seen the play yet, but I'm seeing debate/confusion. So if a player denies an obvious goal-scoring opportunity by handling the ball inside their penalty area, triple jeopardy, PK, red card, suspension still applies. What was changed was the punishment for certain dog-so fouls that occur inside the penalty area. A mistimed tackle inside the area is now yellow rather than red. That's where triple jeopardy has been removed, not for handball situations. Thanks, Greg.
Yes, thanks for clearing that one up.
That's at our dumb world.
Yeah. I still don't like it, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I do think you're right, though. I think Borges will make an appearance in Alberta.
I'll be very surprised if it is not overturned. But Forge dominated the game. That was the only goal in it. I mean, that evened things up, and after that, there was a whole different dynamic, and Cavalry had a few forays forward, but couldn't score. Now, Forge were up a man, and they took the game to Cavalry. They created so many chances. They hit the woodwork. They went for the kill, but they didn't add to that 1-goal lead. How costly is that going to be now? Did they blow their chance?
Hopefully. I mean, I really want Cavalry to win. I think they're the deserving winners over the course of the league. And yeah, aside from a couple guys like David Edgar, who I really, really do appreciate strongly, I kind of want to see those kids at Cavalry win.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good. Tommy Wheeldon after the game said that this was Forge's chance to kill the tie off and to make the second leg almost pointless. Great mind games from Tommy. But yeah, there was a little bit more mind games from Tommy after the game and the post-match press conferences. So I'm going to bring you AFTN's man on the ground, John Pickett, was there at the stadium, sent me a ton of audio from it. So I've got both head coaches talking after the game, a number of the players as well, and Bob Young, the owner of Forge FC. So we're going to bring all this extra audio out in our extra podcast, including the full coaches thing. Bobby Smyrniotis, he talked for 12 minutes. Tommy spoke for 9. So I'm going to play you a little bit from both head coaches just now. Some interesting stuff here. Have a listen.
Tommy, just your thoughts on the match, how that went today.
I think I'm going to have to dissect that one. You go into it with a lot of what ifs. Up a goal, down a goal, up a man, down a man. You know, what type of formation they're playing, what nuances we can attack and exploit. And then sometimes football throws you a curveball. So we have a saying around our club about adapt and overcome. And it wasn't the best scenario to be in, but we're still in the tie. So we can take that back to Spruce Meadows and get that rocking. So we're disappointed to lose, but we know we've got a chance at home.
Given sort of the tone of the play, it seems like that 1-0 and the fact you were down 1 for so long, it seems to me that this is a decent result for you. Absolutely,
yeah. Well, it's Champions League football, isn't it? You know, 1-goal games are okay to swing. We know we'll score goals at home. I said that was their chance to really put us out of the tie, and they didn't take it. And then the game threw another curveball, and we're still in the game.
Tommy, what was the official word on the Waterman red card?
I believe deliberate handball.
And how how did that kind of set off the rest of the half for you guys? You guys seemed like you were scrambling and looked like you were going to get out in the first half.
No, we were prepared. If you look at stats, when we've come here, we've generally had possession of the ball, and I think that suits Forge because they like you to come at them and then exploit your weaknesses and hit you on transition, and they've got lightning pace. So we actually flipped the switch a little bit and we're prepared to let them have the ball. So we were comfortable with their centre-backs having it because they weren't hurting us. And then obviously when you go down a man, then you got to see out the half. And we were disappointed. I don't know how long in injury time that goal was scored. We were disappointed to concede after Marco's made a heroic save.
So nothing kind of went according to plan for that first half. Obviously, you didn't expect to go down in the end. What do you tell your boys at the half? What's the new plan moving forward?
Suffer. No, it's and people laugh, but in football you have to suffer and be prepared to be suffer. We've just seen Leicester City spanked Southampton 9-0. You know, we knew with 10 men that game could have got out of hand. It could have gone. If Forge had scored early, and again and often, that game could have got out of hand. And leg 2 is no game. Now we score first, the game's alive, isn't it? So I think what I said to the boys: be prepared to suffer, be prepared to be starved of the ball, and just be disciplined. And we were looking to catch them on a counter or set play, but we were okay with a 1-goal deficit going home.
Tom, what will win this tie for you? And also with Borges missing the second, leg, is it going to be advantageous to you?
Absolutely, Borges is a terrific player, but he's got an edge to him, and everyone talks about Jose Escalante on our team. Borges is the same. He's talented, but he plays with an edge, and today he got caught out with it. But he also cut us open with his tremendous strike, and that shows the strength of the boy. And I'm sure he'll return next season a better player for it. Does it give us an advantage? Absolutely. Can you take Becker with him as well, and we'll be all right.
And what will win this tie for you?
Goals. We score at home a lot, and we're very good at home. Our goal scoring record has showed that, and we're looking forward to making that happen.
What was the word you were given on the Borges red card?
Yeah, the easiest answer is from who? No word. No word from anyone. So from that aspect, I can't really comment on it. I think the easiest thing to do is watch the video and it's clear. That's the only thing I can say on it.
How important was it to keep a clean sheet going into the second leg?
Yeah, there's a few things we wanted out of this game. We wanted a positive performance, right? Because I think that's important. You obviously want to come out of this with a win, and the third thing, you want to keep a clean sheet. I think that keeps things pretty straightforward going into a second match. And listen, there's a match to be played next Saturday that will be just as intense as this one, but we've put ourselves in a good spot going forward.
Bobby?
Yep.
Bobby, I think we're told beforehand you'd have a 1-0 win. You'd be happy with that going in. But is there some sort of bittersweet, some disappointment here with the fact that it could have been maybe 3?
Yeah, we obviously had the chances. Listen, I think our performance was excellent today. We're on the front foot. We played Forge football. It's what we want to show when we play. I think our crowd was fantastic, and they pushed the guys, and the environment was great. So yeah, we want a little bit more, but we're also happy with where we are. And just the way we've played, we take a lot of positives. Listen, we've played each other 3 times in the last 3 weeks, and we've taken a lot from those games, and I think a lot of it is good.
Bobby, how does the second leg now set up for you guys, especially with Tristan available?
Yeah, listen, it's something we've dealt with over the year with different players. You look at today, and we have 2 key players to our team, in Dominic Samuel and Johnny Grant, who aren't available, and Bertrand Owundi. We just go about business. We don't look at what we can't control. We always look at what we can control, and what we can control is that we've got good depth in our team. We've got guys who step up in different occasions and in different roles. We saw today with Cisse playing a new role for the first time this year. So we're confident in the guys, and we're confident in our tactical flexibility to go into the game and be prepared.
Tommy was just in here, and he spoke about Tristan and the fact that he plays with a little bit of an edge. Do you say anything to Tristan about his edge and when to pull it back a little bit?
Yeah, what edge? That's the answer I have for that. He plays on the ball. He gets himself going forward. He likes to attack. Maradona played with an edge. Messi plays with an edge. Ronaldo plays with an edge. So Tristan Borges just needs to keep on playing like them, and his future is bright.
Are there any plans to appeal that red card?
Yeah, I think if there's a process, and we haven't talked about it, but if there's a process to do it, you obviously do it. Like I said, we'll review the video, and if the video shows that there's nothing there, then you owe it to the player, you owe it to the league, you owe it to everyone that one of the best players in this league is playing in that last game.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
The head coach is there, and yeah, some interesting stuff. Obviously, we're big fans, or I'm big fans of Tommy Wheeldon on this show.
Yeah, I appreciate Tommy.
I just like the mind games that he plays. I like he's kind of a Marmite person. Folk seem to either love him or hate him.
Where do you fall on them, all right?
I like him because...
Oh, I like Tommy. I mean Marmite.
Oh, I hate Marmite.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
that's disgusting.
My boss loves it.
Oh,
he's from Northampton. Yeah,
it's not right. And like
Vegemite, you saying for
Vegemite? I was away to just see it in Australia. They've got Vegemite and
utter rubbish, right?
Yeah. Maybe I should take Marmite to training and see which players are Marmite players.
On like a Ritz cracker. Where do you put that on?
I had an idea as well to play the game Pie Face with them. I'm trying to explain that to Caitlin today, and she didn't know what it was, and I showed her and went, so my idea is we get two players, and then one of them will get a pie in the face. And she's like, yeah, I can see the club letting you do that. I'm like, yeah, they will.
Of course they will. They love you, Michael.
Yeah.
As long as
don't let me do anything.
As long as you don't hug them, you'll be fine.
Yeah, probably. I do think Tommy is a master of the mind games, and playing a little bit there, kind of saying, yeah, we're confident going into the second leg. Forge had their chance. They kind of blew it. Of course, that's the kind of thing that a manager pins up on the board and says, he thinks you've blown it, go out and prove him wrong. So, I don't know. We'll see. But we touched on the refereeing performance.
Yeah.
I think we have to just... We're kind of already overrunning this bit, but let's talk a little bit more about the referee.
Yeah. What did like? For me, I did not feel like he controlled the game. You and I were talking in the break there, or in our break there, about how some fellow people from across the country mentioned to me that people who've had him as a ref before were tweeting about how they just feel he's not a very good referee at all. Specifically Raheem Edwards and Jordan Hamilton, who would have had him in their days growing up in Ontario. But yeah, he just didn't feel like he controlled the game very well. I'm not saying he got all the calls wrong or anything like that, because he definitely did get some right, but he didn't control the game. Like, I assume there's a good reason, but I didn't quite understand why you didn't have one of the more experienced referees in Canada refereeing this game. Like, I'm not a huge fan of them, of all of them, but like, where was Petrescu or Gantar or Drew, what's his face?
But have they been doing the CPL games this year? I don't think they've
been only doing MLS?
I think they might have, yeah. So they might just have wanted to pick from their own
union
refs,
or whatever.
But I can't guarantee about that. Actually, talking about union, this was something I meant to tweet out this week because I was thinking about it. Do the CPL have a players' union? Because I've not seen any mention of it.
Well, we can ask some of the people we know. Not that
was just something I was quite curious about.
I mean, I haven't seen any of them players tweeting about charter flights or anything yet. But
oh, I'm sure they're not happy just with flights and gym.
But no, what did you think about the referee?
I thought I totally agree. I thought he completely lost control. I tweeted out that he'd ruined the game, and I can't remember who it was, but someone tweeted back at me saying, how can he ruin the game when he got all the decisions right? So I guess it depends if you look at the two signings off as being valid. And the first one I think was harsh, and the second one I don't think was a kick out.
Yeah, so there's those
like that. I don't think he got them right.
It's bigger than that, though. Like you need to.
That was Darnell, by the way, that tweeted us that.
Thanks, Darnell. But it's bigger than that. Like you have to be able to command respect from the players, and it just felt like I don't know. It felt like he had. I don't know. As I was sitting there watching, I was like, this could get ugly because this guy.
Well, knowing how these two teams are with each other as well. You did think
that attitude, yeah.
Yeah, it's like things are going to really boil over here. So, in a lot of ways, it was quite good that the players didn't let things boil over. Cavalry obviously could not afford to go down in moments. there was some crunching tackles going. He missed a lot of stuff. And folk are going to say, oh, if they had VAR, then that would maybe not have happened, or things would have been reviewed. And I'm glad there's no VAR in CPL, I've got to say. And by the same regard, yeah, we're slagging off the referee, but to me, football's about mistakes from the players, mistakes by the referee. It happens, shit happens, and that is the game, unfortunately, in some occasions, but it makes the game what it is. So I'm all for human error.
We need to save that clip.
Yeah. So the second leg, quickly. Who you got for it?
I really do think Cavalry will be able to overcome.
I think it's going to be 3-1 Cavalry.
In the match? So 3-2 on aggregate?
In the match, yeah. I think they're going to go 2 up. Forge are going to score.
And they'll get another one.
And then they'll get another one late on to make it 3-1. The crowd's going to be interesting. It looks, I had a look at the weather today, and it looks like the weather might actually be 4 to 6 degrees, so it's not going to be as cold as a lot of folk thought it would be. And extra subscribers will hear the full chat with Tommy Wheeldon after the game. He was asked about the cold, and he's like, I love it. The frost keeps my hair in place.
Who said that?
Tommy Wheeldon.
Oh, yeah. How did you feel about the 10 plus crowd?
When I first saw the game at kickoff and the empty seats, I was a little bit concerned, but it's a very deceptive stadium because obviously it's a massive stadium. I thought that wasn't bad.
Capacity is what, like 28,000 or something?
Possibly even more, I'm not sure. But I mean, it doesn't look good to have the empty seats because it looks like it's a shit crowd.
That's why.
But 10,000 plus, I think, is actually a really good crowd.
Hopefully they'll cram whatever 6,500 or whatever fit into Cavalry for the final.
They've been struggling to draw in the last couple of home games with the weather. So hopefully, because this is a championship game and they need a really fervent crowd there, that they'll get the full house in capacity. I'm still disappointed I'm not going to. I'm going to be up here at UBC commentating on the Canada West Final 4 games, but
you got to pay the bills, man.
Yeah, Scott Strasser, AFTN's man in Calgary, will be at that game, and we hope to catch up with Scott during the week, maybe for a chat. And if we do, maybe a couple of other interviews that we can get lined up as well. We might bring out a special podcast during the week as well.
Regardless, someone is going to be the first winner of the Canadian Premier League Championship, and they're going to get to lift.
Oh, the biggest paperweight in footballing history. I showed my wife this morning, and I said, I want to show you something. I said, it's 14 inches and 1.5 inches thick, and she got a little bit excited. Then I showed her the photo of this North Star shield. I said, what do you think that is? And she's like, oh, it's like a paperweight my boss has at work. I said, oh, that's a CPL trophy. And she went, how big is it? And I went, I've just told you. And she's like, oh. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like
someone's been to 3dprinting.com.
It feels like which person in the office was responsible for that?
It's because they want to do things different.
No, it's not. It's because it got left to the last minute. That's what happened. That's the kind of trophy you get when it's left to the last minute.
At least it has 2019 on it, so we know there's going to be another one next year.
Yeah, that was I did hear what that maybe part of it is that they couldn't come up with something that they liked enough. So this is like a placeholder. But
literally, you could put it on anything and hold it in place.
I feel it's a huge shield. Bundesliga. You want a shield for the winner, but it's
not even a shield.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a piece of glass.
Yeah,
it's so underwhelming.
I can't wait for someone to drop it and it smashes into smithereens.
Well, that's part of the joke. Is like they're like, oh, when we win it, we'll get our players to drop it, so they have to get a proper trophy.
Oh, let's hope so. Anyway, that is it for the CPL chat. We are going to be back in part 2 with some Whitecaps talk and an interview with Fredy Montero.
I'm David Edgar, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. That was, sadly, our last song from Fife's finest, the Kings of Scottish Death Rock, from Methil, 13 Tombs. I drink your blood. As I said, the second best thing to come out of Methil after East Fife. Still unbeaten, 3 months into the season.
What happened to your band that cancelled?
Oh, the Yummy Fur.
Yeah.
They were going to be our Artist of the Month next week, or next month.
Now, I assume
but
not.
No,
sorry.
they're not going to be Artist of the Month. They are going to reschedule their North American tours. When they do that, we'll have them as Artist of the Month then. Don't know what happened, whether it was ticket sales or visas or what, but they've just reformed after umpteen years, and I haven't seen them since about the mid-90s, so I was really excited to see them, and
I saw your tweet, so I was
the,
disappointed for you.
The good news, though, is friends of the show, Goldie, Luke and Shane, have a new album out, so they're going to be Artists of the Month instead.
Oh, you say
maybe we'll actually get the interview with them this time that we had lined up that fell through.
Will they come to Vancouver for you, or
maybe? I'm sure they don't have much else to do. But yeah, we're going to be playing all their classics, from Your Mother's Got a Penis to the new album Skin Tight and stuff like that.
All your favourites.
13 Tombs, though. Follow them on Facebook and Reverb Nation. Facebook.com/13 Tombs. Reverb Nation /13 Tombs. You can get more of their stuff there. So that song was for Halloween. I'm going to have some more Halloween talk later. But talking of horrific things, Vancouver Whitecaps. Or the 2019 season. It was quite horrific, let's be honest here. It has been, though, a quiet week of Whitecaps news, which is only to be expected. Training is still underway, but the numbers are quite limited. It's more like 5-a-side tournaments that they're having just now. But it has given us a chance to grab some good interviews for the weeks to come. And over those weeks, we're going to be looking at certain aspects of the Whitecaps squad as the rebuild gets underway. So tonight, we're going to start at the top. Not the management, but the attack, the front line, the thing that we were severely lacking this season. The Whitecaps scored 37 goals this season, the lowest in the West, second lowest in all of MLS, 6 ahead of the worst team, Cincinnati, and only 48 behind LAFC. I think that was good. Just if anyone needs reminding, LAFC's Carlos Vela had 34 goals of his own, just 3 shy of the Whitecaps total. Zlatan hit 30. Of the Whitecaps attackers, Fredy Montero led the way. He had 8 goals. Jordi Reyna, I'm putting him as an attacker, hit 7. Lucas Venuto had 3. Theo Bair had 2. Tossant Ricketts, Michael Chirinos, and Las Bangura all had 1. As we all know, young designated player, my partner in crime fighting, detective extraordinaire, Joaquin Ardiez. He scored a big fat 0.
Is he the worst attacking signing from the Whitecaps ever?
Have you forgotten Mustafa Jarju?
No, but he was only here half a year and then gone. Like, Ardiez...
he actually did score a goal in a reserve game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a beauty.
And he, yeah.
I think there's a good case to...
I would never forget Mustafa.
No. But that's a good argument. Sad thing, of course, is it has been confirmed that Joaquin is not coming back. I had my neck tattoos all lined up. Disappointed.
I was really looking forward to you having to get a neck tattoo.
Yeah, so were some people in the Whitecaps. He said, "Oh, you never know." I said, "I think I'm safe. I'm going to go for double jeopardy here. I'll get one in my ass as well if he comes back." But no, he is not coming back. Now,
man.
Much has been made that this was Reyna's best season as a Whitecap. I've seen that a lot written in the past couple of weeks. I disagree. If you look at the stats, he had 1 more goal than his other 2 seasons, 7 to 6 and 6. So if you're just looking at goals scored, it's his best output.
Michael, come on. You know that's where most of those people were looking.
Yeah, sadly. But it goes way beyond that for me. Reyna has had better seasons, and for me, last season was his better season. He had 1 goal less and 6 to his 7 this year, but he had 11 assists.
Yeah.
This year, he had 1. Which is basically just how poor this team was in general in output.
And probably tied into how they approach things from an attacking side.
Yeah. I mean, Ali Adnan and Inbom Wang, they led the way with 5 assists each. He had 1. Fredy Montero had 3. Now, Jordi, again, was quite slow out the blocks. Maybe it was the formation. Maybe it was just him getting used to new teammates. I'm sure it's a number of combined factors. But if he is to stick around, we need more out of him. We need a better output. Not just goals. He has to be more creative. He has to get these assists.
Yeah, no, I think so. But like we've been saying for at least a year now, it's hard to see him in Vancouver next year.
I think, and we said this in last week's show, I think he might hang around just to kind of see, or wait for a bit at least to see who comes in, to see if it's an exciting proposition.
So he's like a lot of Whitecaps season ticket holders? Is he?
He's got until January to cancel his contract,
there
I think.
You go.
So
yeah.
he'll get his money back if he doesn't like who we bring in.
They're doing it with the players too, eh?
Huh. It's a new broom, I was going to say, but no, it's clearly not. But if we are talking about disappointing seasons, Fredy Montero's has to be up there. And he's the first person to say that it's been a disappointing and a frustrating season for him, as you'll soon hear. It was the first time in the 6 MLS seasons that he didn't hit double digits for goals. He only got 8. His previous worst was in 2010, where he got 10 goals. It was also his worst season for assists. He got 3, as I mentioned. His worst before that was 6, which was with the Whitecaps back in 2017.
Yeah.
Wasn't a good season all round. So what was behind that? Is it that the formation just simply does not suit him? He's talked about he's a player that likes the ball at his feet, and the midfield and the supporting cast certainly did not give him that this year.
No, I mean, as much as I have, preferences on where my strikers have played and stuff, I mean, putting that aside, when you look at the service that not just he but all the strikers from Vancouver had this year, it's hard to fault some of them. It's hard to fault them for their output.
I mean, we saw him 2 years ago, what he can do with very little service. He got even less this year.
Yeah.
There's games where he didn't even get a shot on target, and that's not down solely to him. A little bit maybe, but a lot of it
There were
is
games
not
where
down
the
to
team
him.
didn't get a shot on target.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's just testament to how poor the midfield and the creative play was. Now, Fredy did cut a frustrating figure on the pitch at times. I got a chance to sit down with him on Tuesday for a one-on-one chat about the season, what may lie in store for the future. We did a few fun things at the end as well, which will bring you down the line. I will say, as soon as we started the interview, it was great, it was nice and quiet, and then he started talking about the season, and this buzz kind of came on behind us, and we don't know where it came from. I think it was the Whitecaps listening devices kicking in, just trying to find out exactly what he was saying. But it's a bit annoying in the interview, so I'll just warn you about that now. But we had a chat about a lot of things, including something I was really curious about, because towards the end of the season he was kind of doing his hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil goal celebrations, which he only sadly got to do 2 of the 3. He didn't get that third one to do. So I asked him about that. So I think very fitting for our Halloween show, here's Fredy. So Fredy, it's been a tough season for the club, for you as well. Looking at the stats, it's not just about stats, but it's been your season where you've scored the least goals in your MLS career. Sometimes it maybe felt a little bit frustrating for you out there. Is that how it felt for you on the pitch as well?
Yes, I agree with you. It's been a tough year, personally for me and obviously for the organization. And the fact that, it's been the season with less amount of goal in my MLS career, it's also another point against what happened this year. But frustration after the games, I would say yes. Not in every single game, of course.
Yeah.
But I always, as a striker, or sometimes when I was playing as a winger, I like to have possession of the ball, and I would say a few games where I couldn't even shoot on goal. So that's really frustrating for me as a striker, and I would say that those are the games that I will never look back for.
That was one of the things, and you talked about it after one of the games. You've always been a player. You need to get the ball. You like the ball at your feet, and when you do that, that's when you make things happen. It obviously wasn't happening at times this season, but you were playing in a number of different positions, and like we're used to you being a striker, an out-and-out striker. How did you find that? Did you like the chance to play in these different positions, or for you, are you still really wanting to just be an out-and-out striker?
Yeah, I mean, as a striker, my whole career, I wanted to be inside the box. You know, when defenders are pulling me outside of the box, that they know that I am least dangerous. So I felt like sometimes when I had to play in different position, I was outside of the box, and I had to change my role, trying to be more as a playmaker and trying to help the team with possession of the ball. Then for me, getting in those spots to score goals, it's different now with the experience that I have. You know, after so many years of playing professional soccer, I know when the team and the coach is asking me to play on the left side of the field, in the midfielder, or as a striker, I need to adjust in that position. And I know with me, my quality, you know, of my foot, I can make an assist at any time. And sometimes I had to, you know, kick the corner kicks, the set pieces. I was there when the team needed me.
Now, Mark was on the radio recently, and he was kind of just talking about the future and your role possibly in it. And he said it's a difficult time at the moment because everyone knows what you can do in MLS as a striker. But with the system that he's wanting to play, he's not 100% sure that you are the striker for that, and you might want to be like a false 9 or a false 10. Is that something that you would be happy with, or do you still see yourself as being an out-and-out striker?
Well, it didn't work when we wanted to play 4-3-3, and the striker that we had this season, we scored the least amount of goals in our career, and we have a striker that didn't score a single goal during the season, which is not good, you know, for your career. But if he's saying that my role is going to change next year as a number 10 or as a second striker, I would be happy to play there. I had no problem. I know what I am capable of, and obviously it's about the formation. I don't see myself playing 4-3-3, and the second striker, there is no space for a second striker. But if we play 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1, that's a different talk that we have in the field. And yes, it depends on the new formation that we're gonna approach next year.
The end of this season, you were kind of more on a sub role. You were kind of like a super sub. You were coming on. You were really making an impact. From us watching, it was great to see you doing that because you were back to looking at your sharpest. Obviously, you've still got a number of years left in your career. You don't want to be a substitute role, but did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy having that kind of impact sub?
No. Obviously, I want to play. I'm a 90 minutes player. I came from Europe to MLS because I still reject some offers in Europe, but I felt that was the right moment to come back to MLS because I wanted stability for my family. I wanted to be in Pacific, Northwest, and that's why I'm back. Obviously, I'm always looking forward, you know, for the next season to be better than this one. And I was told that the last game there were players that needed to show themselves to be able, you know, to get to the next contract because they were in the last, or they have an option for the team that they wanted to be sure if they were going to get picked up. And my role as a sub in the last game was reason was part of that reason that I was told. But I mean, I know that it didn't mean that much.
Yeah.
But when I came in, I was always 100% committed to the club. I am thankful to all the people that made possible for me to come back, and I always play for them, So it's not about being selfish. I always been a team player, and I want to show that to other players in this team, and even the young players that are looking forward to be here next year.
When you did get the goals late on, your celebrations, it was like you were almost doing see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Is that what the celebrations were, or what was behind it?
Yeah, believe it or not, that you have people close to you or people around you that always make comments, and they just want to bring reaction from whatever is happening inside the field. And for me, it didn't change my way that I come here every day and train. I always wanted to, give my best. The coach's decision was to, play those 11 guys, teammates that they were starting the games. But when I come in, I try to help them. So I want to be myself. I don't want to hear. I don't want to see anything that was coming from the outside to myself, and trying to be involved in drama around the team, on drama around the league, because that's the least that I want for this organization. It did happen in the past, and I don't want that to happen when I am here.
Yeah. Last thing about this season then, and looking forward, you talked about stability and coming back here. Yeah. Obviously you've got your business and everything here now as well. Do you know what MLS is like? Players can just get traded without having any indication that they're getting traded. Would that be disappointing for you if you find yourself suddenly traded to the East Coast without really knowing much about it?
Yeah, I don't see myself going to a different place. I know I have a pass in one of the best organizations in the league, and I'm a legend, I would say. I don't like to call that, but in one of the biggest organizations, and I know that if I have to go somewhere, the other coast is not my final destination.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time today, Fredy. Always a pleasure speaking to you, and just enjoy the rest of the off season. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Fredy effing Montero there.
Club legend.
He is a legend in Seattle. It's like, folk might poo-poo that, but I mean, with what he did there, he's still thought of so highly. If he ever wants to go back there, they'll welcome him with open arms.
Vancouver, where they hire their closest rivals legends and see them play worse for them.
As I've said, I don't care where someone's played before, as long as when they put on a Whitecaps shirt, they do it for the Whitecaps. And I've had players in my teams over the years, I've hated them when they've played for a rival. As soon as they become playing for my team, as long as they play with their heart and play for the badge, that's all I care about. I genuinely really like Fredy. I think he's a great scorer. I think he was completely misused this season. We did not see the best of him. Yeah, I mean, do you see him?
Completely misused? So you think he should be starting?
I don't think the formation was great. I don't think we could have got the best out of him because the midfield was not creating. I don't think 4-3-3 ideally suits him if you've got such a weak midfield, which we did. If you've got him playing up front, you need 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 4-1-4-1, something like that that's giving him support, giving him creativity. And, okay, maybe misuse was a little bit harsh, but he did not have the supporting cast around him that was going to bring the best out of him this year.
Yeah, but he didn't in 2017 either, did he?
He got the ball more in 2017, so he could create more. They weren't even getting the ball to him this year, I feel. And MDS has talked about the future, and he was asked about Fredy, I think it was on Fine Lines on Sportsnet, and he said that if he stays, he might have to play as a false 9, a 10, something that isn't an out-and-out striker, and he knows that Fredy still wants to be and believes he can be an out-and-out striker, and I think he can as well. And I think he's shown that before, but he can also play good as a second striker. And I don't see that fitting in if MDS wants to play a 4-3-3, which he's kind of indicating is going to be his formation of choice.
I don't know. As players get older, you say they lose a half a step. For him, it felt like he lost a full step or a full step and a half, regardless of whether or not the playing style and the support was there for him.
I agree. We definitely didn't see the best of him this year at all. Do you see him being here come first kick?
Oh, he has a contract.
But do you see him being here? Contracts can change.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't see them moving him. No.
I'd like him to be here, and if we can find a great role for him. I know he doesn't want to do this. Him as a super sub coming off the bench and scoring, I'd love that.
You just want his coffee.
That as well. I just want to keep doing my Fredy Montero tweets as well. The T-shirts are on their way, coming from China. I think they'll be your Christmas presents from last year that never ever arrived, incidentally. And I need to talk to you about Christmas this year as well. But
are we upping the budget again?
Oh, we could up the budget. Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah, we can agree that. Steve's not here. It's a 2-1 vote, even if he says no.
1 million now?
Oh, yeah.
Or is that the designated present?
Well, I'll buy your present down with Tam. Or Cam, Christmas allocation money. A new striker's clearly going to come in. So where does that leave him? And we talked last week about buying down his salary. And I actually want to touch on that because I was speaking to the Caps this week about it. So the information I was given from someone within the club was they were talking about buying down Wong, Adnan and Fredy and bringing in 3 DPs.
And how many tickets were they trying to sell you?
Well, what I've subsequently been told is the chat was more speculation and a misunderstanding. It was speculation about what could happen after the CBA.
Right.
Because right now, they're not able to buy down Ali Adnan's contract. They're not able to buy down Inbomb's either. But with the way that TAM changes and how much you can buy contracts down to, and we don't know what his contract's going to be next year, that one could be easier bought down. But right now, Ali Adnan's cannot be bought down. So there's not 3 DPs coming in.
But the problem with that is...
We're not the LA Galaxy.
If you go by the last CBA, wasn't it signed days before the season started? Right? Was it not?
And the current one does expire at the end of January. Yeah. And from reading some stuff this week, Focus talking up the strike talk again.
Right, which would be interesting for the Whitecaps whole trying to just hold on to some of their season ticket holders by making a promise that by the end of January, they'll have done enough things to. So they have to be operating under some kind of, whether it's the current CBA or budgeting for 5% increase to the overall thing and just living with the old rules for GAM, TAM, whatever. They have to be operating within something in order to prepare for next year. They can't wait till...
No, yeah.
Because,
right now, there's not 3 DPs coming in, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's not.
That's what I was initially led to believe they were looking to do. That's not to say there's not going to be some good players coming in. There's going to be some TAM players and GAM players. It's just they will not have the DP tag, which in a lot of ways I don't mind because I do think that's a millstone around their necks anyway.
Yeah, there's lots of people in the Whitecaps front office who want you to believe that they are really great at running a football club. So don't be fooled by them, Michael.
I never am. Fredy finished up training camp this week. He's been given the last week off, so this was his last week. So it was good to talk to him. I think he'll be back. I expect him to be back. I hope he's going to be back. He's going to be joined by a lot of new faces, and maybe some of them are some faces that are away just now with Canada at the Under-17 World Cup. Because there's 6 Whitecaps prospects away, and we've talked in the show about Fascineri, the centre-back. He's a guy that I think at some point is likely to get a contract.
Captain, right?
Captain of Canada. Started the game yesterday. Him, Demian and Pisile were the 3 of the 6 Whitecaps that started. So because they didn't start all 6, they didn't play well and they lost 4-1. That's what I put it down.
To host Brazil,
To
right?
the host Brazil.
Yeah.
Did you watch the game?
No,
I fast-forwarded through this one.
I was watching other football.
The day before I tweeted out Wikipedia, someone had amended it to say that Canada had lost the first game 4-0. And when it was 4-0 late on, I'm thinking, is this guy a time traveller? Is it fixed or what?
Is it Marty McFly or Biff?
It was scary that this guy had such premonitions. I was already getting in touch with the guy to try and get the lottery numbers. But then Canada did get a goal, assisted by Cameron Habibullah, who I finally said his name right. He came on as a second half sub, looked good, should have started, get rid of all these TFC guys, especially some of the defenders who were responsible for the goals.
Were you just using this as a segue? You don't think any of these guys are the answer to...
It was a segue.
Okay.
I don't think they're the answer to our problems.
Yeah, you scared me.
I do genuinely see Cameron Habibullah and Gianfranco Fascineri probably getting a contract at some point down the line.
Yeah, I could see that.
But Canada did lose their first game 4-1. Simply were not at the races for a lot of it. It was a very good Brazil team.
Yeah, you're playing against host Brazil.
Yeah. I don't want to look too much as to how far Canada looked behind, because it was Brazil. They play Angola and then New Zealand.
Yes, those are the games.
Angola beat New Zealand.
Isn't it top 3 get out of the... Or
top 2 go through and then it's
third
place finishes and stuff like that. So good luck to Canada in the next 2 games. We'll talk a little bit about that next Sunday.
Michael will be watching because it's on TSN.
Of course, it's actually on TV. Oh yes, because we never got to mention that. I completely missed that in the first part. Second leg of the CPL game is only on One Soccer. It's being shown at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time on CBC.
Is that official? Because I saw somewhere else where it was like listed.
That's what they advertised after the game yesterday, unless they put the wrong graphic up.
Okay.
I saw somewhere. I'll cut this out the podcast.
I saw somewhere. I saw.
If
somewhere.
it's not,
I forgot. I didn't verify.
If it is only on One Soccer, the second leg, that's shocking, and you really have to question what are they thinking.
I think it was because CBC had a.
It'll probably be curling. Because the
Tournament of Hearts, Scott Tournament of Hearts.
I don't know. Something was on. If it was darts, I'd understand it, but
or boxing,
curling, or boxing. Tartan Tornado.
Did you? Yeah, the
Unified Champ.
Michael sent me a text about the Tartan Tornado, and I said dart.
It's like boxing.
I just assumed it was darts because I thought I saw darts on DAZN.
Josh Taylor, we'll get him on the show. He's a football fan. Trying to widen our horizons. We've got 5 months and a strike to kill. 2 hours. Although we're doing quite well. We're already overrunning our first 2 parts tonight. But we're going to be back with part 3. MLS chat, and that's going to be with you after this.
Hi, I'm Mark Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Wind shivers through the house, every single servant left. Then the whiskey bottle's shattered, life of the deaf just doesn't matter. Life of the deaf just doesn't matter. Shadows crawling on the wall, noises from the shadow rooms. I was mad, it's a hatter. Life of the deaf just doesn't matter. Life of the deaf just doesn't matter. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm scared in a haunted house. I get out to investigate. Down the creaky staircase. The clock strikes midnight. Life of the deaf just can't be right. Life of the deaf just can't be right. A presence very near to me, a shiver in the backbone. Out goes the light. Life of the deaf just can't be right. Life of the deaf just can't be right. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm living in a haunted house. I'm scared in a haunted house. Go spook.
Ghost Moog. That's what we're going to call this week's show. That was Fun Boy 5 with Life After Death. Do you know what year that was released, Zach?
1979.
Yes. Well done. I didn't know you knew your punk and new wave music as well.
I don't, but I know you.
Yeah. That is actually purely coincidental because we played this song last Halloween as well. I just really like it. And of course it was played for Halloween because this is the Halloween episode of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. Ha 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 ha. I'm a count. Several folk have told me that over the years. I think that's what they said. Yeah, our Halloween special. So, I'm going to kick off this part with something that we've done on the website a lot. We do our Team of the Week. And I'll be honest, I've completely ripped this off from a Scottish football radio show called Off the Ball that's celebrating its 25-year anniversary this year. I've been on the show in the past. And it's on before the day's football and then after the day's football as well. What they really should have us doing. I've done it a little bit differently than what Off the Ball do. What they do is they have a topic and then they get folk to text or email in their suggestions. So most folk listen to this on the podcast. Right? It doesn't work if we do it live on the show usually.
Unless we open the lines.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's after midnight, the witching hour, so who knows who's going to call in. But I do it in a different way to them. They take any players, football players from around the world, but primarily Scottish football for the topic. So for example, if it was the pasta 11, it would be something like rigatoni cascarino, stuff like that. So what I decided to do when we did the written ones on the website was I did it for MLS players, but I did it as an actual team with a formation. So we had a goalkeeper and like a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3, 3-4-3, something like that, just a little bit different. So what I thought would be a little bit of fun is I've done a Halloween 11, but for all of MLS. But I've not done a solely Whitecaps Team of the Week, Team of the Season, and the Halloween season.
Are you including Candy O'Brien?
He was going to make it, but I've got him on the bench.
What about David?
He's a bit old now.
What about David Ghosted?
David Ghosted nearly made it as well, but he is a sub. Oh. So in goals, instead of David Ghosted, I've got Maxime Creepy. I've also gone for a 3-5-2 formation.
Oh, that's is that a fortune telling there?
Yeah. The back three. So I thought Candy O'Brien, he's a little bit old to make the back three. So instead I've gone for Kendall, Hallows Eve, Waston, Toom Parker, David Dedger. The midfield, on the right side, Fraser Scared. Some folk maybe say he played like that a little bit with the Whitecaps. Gooley Wynn. Remember him?
Oh, I do.
Still searching for his TV.
Yeah.
Gershon Coffin. Russ Hell Tybert. Breck Banshee. And up front, Fan Tommy Heineman. Air Trick or Treat Hasley. Who do you think is going to be the manager?
Oh, something with Martin Rennie, I'm guessing.
No, I actually promoted his assistant, Paul Witchy.
Oh, there. Should have seen that one coming.
Yeah.
There's no counts.
No.
I thought for sure it would be...
If there was going to be a count, it would be Tommy Soane would probably come in and take Paul Witchy's job. If you can think of any players for the Whitecaps Halloween 11, let us know on Twitter at AFTN Canada. We started this section off, which feels like a long time ago. I don't know how we've overrun. It's like baffling to me. But we started off a long time ago with playing Life After Death from Fun Boy 5, talking about being in a haunted house. Have you ever been in a haunted house?
No.
I don't know if I have or not. I used to like the Ghost Train when I used to go to carnivals and stuff as a kid. Never been to the thing at Playland, the Fright Nights. Yep, never been to that. Have booked something though for our anniversary. We're doing a special Tim Burton themed Dead walking tour at Beaumont Studios. Check that out, beaumontstudios.com. It looks absolutely fantastic. If you're a fan of Tim Burton films, it looks good. The kid-friendly ones are going to be earlier on in the evening as well, so well worth the $30 I think I've spent. My wife's going to have the willies put up at that night for sure. Happy anniversary, darling. But yeah, how haunted houses can be scary. But you know what else is scary? The thought of another Seattle TFC MLS Cup final. Could happen. Fingers crossed it doesn't. They've got a good chance of both teams, I think, of pulling this off. In this part, we're going to look at the Eastern Conference. So we'll just rattle through that. No one cares about the Eastern Conference. It's like East. West is best. Everyone knows that. Yeah, the East won it the last 2 years, but that's fine. We got the MLS Conference Finals, or the Conference Semi-Finals, this past week, and they weren't quite as exciting as the first round matches, but they were enjoyable nonetheless. Did you watch the games? I hope so. We're going to talk about them.
I saw part of one, but I was working for all the rest. But I've seen highlights.
Yeah, some good
read
stuff.
Read about them, listened.
Yeah, games on a Wednesday and Thursday night. It's an interesting choice to make, and I know why they've made it, because they have to cram these playoff games in before the next international break. But you've got 2 Saturdays, 2 weekends now with no games, so in a lot of ways it doesn't make any sense at all. The late kickoffs, especially the LA Derby, that had the potential, if it went all the way, to finish at about 1 o'clock Eastern time, or maybe even later, was like crazy. And the Wednesday night games didn't clash. Well, it clashed actually with the World Series, but the Thursday night game clashed with NFL. So
the World Series of Poker?
Obviously, there's only one World Series. World Series where people from around the world take part, more than one country. So yeah, World Series of Poker. But the Thursday clashed with the NFL Thursday night game. Was there another solution? Should they have played these games at the weekend and gone up against, say, NFL on a Sunday and stuff like that? There's the danger, of course, though, that stadiums were double booked. So Seattle maybe couldn't have got into CenturyLink or something. So you've always got that danger. But for me, unless you're going to make every team play in soccer-specific stadiums, which I'm all for, I think they kind of maybe had to go for some midweek ones, but I don't know.
It is a little bit awkward, but this is the first go-around with this format, so...
I like the format apart from this, but
yeah.
I just don't think it's ideal for getting
away
fans out as well.
Because the games are this week on was Wednesday,
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wednesday,
week,
right? This
which
week.
Is avoiding Halloween at least.
Yeah, which they have not done in the past.
No, I was hoping TFC were going to play on Halloween and get absolutely hammered, her horror show, something like that, but sadly not. But let's look at the East. The Eastern Final is going to be a battle between the last 2 MLS Cup winners. Atlanta are hosting TFC. They're making me cheer for Atlanta. No one really wants to cheer for Atlanta.
I figure you cheer for Atlanta because they have a German on their team.
And Brek Shea, even though he's not playing.
They'll get him a ring. Paul Mudaka will get him a ring.
I'm still waiting for our MLS Cup ring for winning it in April. Remember we won the MLS Cup in April? It's a throwback to the...
Right.
Yeah. We were champions once.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
Yeah. That's what we're telling our season ticket holders when we phone up. We won the MLS Cup in April. Hope you're happy. AFTN confirmed it. But TFC got into the Eastern Conference Final with what has to be said was an impressive 2-1 win over regular season Eastern Conference champs NYCFC. Pozuelo double. And I'm only saying impressive.
Wait, yeah, I was going to say, how can you call that game impressive?
They got the job done. That's why I'm calling it impressive.
Oh.
They dominated possession on the first half.
You live in Vancouver, so the bar is so low.
They outshot NYCFC 6-1 in the first half.
They were gifted 2 goals.
They were very much
I did watch this game.
That was... I mean, we're talking horror and Halloween in this thing. That was horrific and shocking defending that would not have looked out of place in a Wes Craven film.
Here, Toronto, let's just pass the ball to your number 10, allow him to walk in alone, and at the end of the game, we'll just cut down one of your players in the box and give you a penalty.
The first goal, I mean, that header, it was neither an attempt to go back to the keeper or a clearance. I have no idea what he was thinking of doing. Maxime Chanot, straight into the path of Pozuelo, in the back of the net, 1-0. NYCFC fought back. I gave out a big cheer. Looked like it was going to extra time. And then, what on earth was Matarrita doing? Richie Laria goes past him, You don't make a tackle like that in any game in the box. But in the closing minutes of a semi-final, a one-and-done game, absolutely shocking. He looked devastated, and rightly so.
It devastated his own decision-making.
Yeah, it was awful.
And there was no question. There was no VAR was going to overturn that.
And then Pinsuelo, balls of steel. A Panenka.
Panenka in the middle, yeah.
That is ballsy. Had flashbacks to Ali Adnan. Really hope he wasn't watching that. He's been in Turkey this week watching games.
What games?
Some game in Turkey.
Oh, okay.
Let's start the Turkey rumours now. But yeah, Pinsuelo, big balls. Finished 2-1, TFC through. Have to say, Richie Laria.
Yeah, good week for him.
He has had a great season. What a great pickup. He's on like league minimum. He's been very good offensively. Good for Canada. We finally got a right back. Him on the right, Fonzie on the left. What a defence. Fonzie's a left back. Did he not play there for Bayern yesterday in his first ever Bundesliga
debut?
See, sometimes they do pay attention to the Germans.
They gave away a penalty too, but he sort of set up a goal.
I heard though he was a little bit, I don't want to say apprehensive, but he was maybe not as attack-minded as we would expect.
Yeah.
Maybe held back a little bit.
Photo shoot's over.
Oh.
The party's over. Everyone's leaving.
Maybe they didn't like her MLS talk. MLS is not for everyone. I've crossed the line, they've left. TFC, they're now going to travel to face Atlanta, who got by Philly fairly comfortably in the end, it's got to be said. Despite a narrowish 2-0 scoreline, they were pretty much in control. They needed an 80th minute Joseph Martinez goal to kill the game off. Philly had their chances.
Is Bedoya injured? Is he not fully fit?
He was playing.
I know he's playing, but...
Oh, he didn't look like he was playing.
Yeah, he just...
Yeah. Well, they've got Kasper Przybylko, talking about big Germans. He's out. Big loss for them. 15 goals in the year for Philly. Hasn't played. He injured his foot in the warm-up in the last game of the season that ruled him off the entire playoffs, and they missed him. If they'd had him, it might have been different. But I think Atlanta had enough to get by.
Totally, that's true. But Bedoya also, as their kind of leader, seemed off.
I mean, it was another great atmosphere in Atlanta. We've seen it so much across the league in the playoffs. The newer teams, they bring in great atmospheres. Minnesota brought it, LAFC, Atlanta. Now, you might just say they're new. They're not jaded. They've not been stuck in MLS. You could also say they spent money. They've actually got a decent team in the pitch to cheer on.
Ambitious clubs, yeah.
Yeah. They've got front offices that actually are wanting to go deep into the playoffs. It's an atmosphere, though, I crave for here in Vancouver. And, I mean, you can say it's hard to cheer for a team that shows no ambition, a team that doesn't attack at home, a team when we get playoffs play 0-0 games, all that kind of stuff. How the stadium's set up as well. But we're going to have general admission now next year. But you look at these stadiums and it feels like it's the entire stadium that's bouncing and taking part in these chants. And I don't know if we'll see that kind of stuff here in Vancouver, or am I just being overly cynical? Do you think we can get a stadium-wide buzz like that if we have a team to be proud of and to have that buzz about?
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen in Vancouver anytime soon. That's obviously would be nice, and I think what a number of people are aiming for. But with Vancouver, the problems are on the field, but they're off the field. Like there's issues that are there that just are hard for people to see past and get past, right? Like all the stuff that happened this year. A lot of those things that happened this year haven't been fully dealt with. So as much as
we're still waiting for this report on the women's scandal.
Yeah, and supposedly, as soon as it's done, it'll be shared or whatever. But so it's not just having a good team. There's these other things off the field that they have to show, and with some of them, it's like, will they be able to show that they can overcome those things before the end of January? That's an unfortunate question, which I don't know if people will get answered.
I'm talking though about getting the whole stadium, the more casual fan in, and most of the casual fans, to be honest, don't give two shits about all the scandals and stuff. I'm not saying rightly or wrongly.
I think this year that changed.
It's maybe a bit more than in the past, but I do feel that most of them.
I think a lot of their season ticket holders cared. You're right. Joe Public on the street.
Yeah.
Susie Public on the street.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's maybe a better way.
But
to look at
their
it.
season ticket holders, I think, cared.
Yeah.
And I think they heard that. But yeah, will they get this report out before the end of January? I think they need to.
Oh, I think they have to. It has to come out this year.
If they don't, then I think that hinders their self-imposed extended money back guarantee deadline.
Yeah. Because they could be waiting until the last week of training's over, and then there's no media around training and stuff as well. But that's just me being really cynical.
You don't want to be cynical, but they've done things like that before.
And then Mark will be away, scouting and everything. He's away just now. He's down in South America.
There you go.
Comes back soon. Hopefully with a few players in his hand luggage.
Well,
maybe not hand luggage, because then they'll be like cushion to share a size.
But no, so there's all that needs to get like figured out. In terms of what you're saying about getting the whole stadium, I think having the unified supporter GA is hopefully a good genesis for that, where everyone's coming together, and hopefully that will help with having one song being sung, and I know some people
swearing.
I know some people listening to this are being like, yeah, well, Zach, aren't you one of the reasons why there was more than one song sung? And I've written about this. It's on AFTN. There was a reason for that, but the season for that, the time period for that is over, and it's time to bring everyone back together. And yeah, hopefully that can be the start of getting the whole stadium going together.
Hopefully you're all wearing your Unity strips next year. Which, of course, ironically, they're replacing just as you're becoming more unified.
Well, hopefully the unification in the general admission section is better than the unity, as demonstrated by the sides that were.
Well, hopefully we do get the better atmosphere that I certainly crave. It's going to be lit in Atlanta on Wednesday.
You got to get out of the press box and come and be a part of it.
I would last one game with my potty mouth. I would get banned from BC Place for life. How do you see Wednesday going? Who you got? Atlanta or TFC? I'll set it up. TFC have only lost one of their 6 meetings with Atlanta. That was a 2-0 away loss this May. TFC won the return at home 3-2 with a stoppage time Pozuelo penalty. So who you got?
It's I think one of the things for Toronto that's key, or potentially the key for Toronto, is Josie Altidore. And is he actually fit? They had him like tweeting out or whatever that he was in New York or whatever, just to maybe put people off until the lineup came up and he wasn't in the 18.
That's a good way. I like mind games.
Yeah, that's fine. I think if he is fit and he can play a role in the game, I think that bodes well for Toronto. And Atlanta has proven this year that they're not. They're not as good as they were last year. Obviously, in some ways, I think, right? Like they haven't been as dominant, so they're beatable. And so I think if Josie plays, there's a chance that Toronto has. However, I think it's more likely that Atlanta repeats something similar to that score and the score they had against Philadelphia with like a 2-0 or maybe a 3-1 or 2-1 or kind of game.
Now this pains me greatly to say this. I have TFC winning in extra time.
What's the score?
2-1.
Who scores?
Pozuelo double. It's an easy thing. No, actually, Pozuelo will get one, and I think Osorio will get the winner.
Oh, okay. And who gets the one for Atlanta? Joseph? All right. It was good. Nice to see Julian Gressel score from.
Yeah, nice finish too.
Yes,
the reason I'm going for TFC, and I'm going to bring this up now because it's apt now, and I could bring it up when we're talking about Seattle in the next part, but this was something I was speaking to Fredy about. Not during the interview, we were just having a kind of chat beforehand.
Off the record? With the Colombian?
Having a friendly chat with my coffee chum. We obviously did the chocolate digestive thing, because it turned out I'd never done the chocolate digestive section with Fredy last time. But no, we're just having a general chat. We're talking about the playoffs. And I said, I'm thinking about maybe going down to Seattle tomorrow, because I'd like to be there for Romando's last game. And he's like, wow, you've got a lot of faith in Seattle. And I was like, yeah, they build playoff teams. And that's the thing. Them and TFC, they build playoff teams. Both of those rivals build teams not just to squeak into the postseason, but to go deep. And it's frustrating as hell to see year after year these teams, these rivals of ours, Cascadian rivals, Canadian rivals, doing that. The last 4 finals has seen at least one of our Cascadian or Canadian rivals in it. TFC twice, Seattle twice, Portland twice, all with one MLS Cup win.
So you want more
agonising.
You want more of it? More of the pain?
I want way less of the pain and for the Whitecaps to get in.
The one interesting comment is who will the Whitecaps people trumpet as their role models when the Final Four are all those who are showing ambition in terms of their actual spending?
You can still make the playoffs with a team that doesn't spend. You can still go quite far in the playoffs with a team that doesn't spend.
Yeah, how much money you got in your pocket? You can get a lottery ticket too, Michael.
But to go the extra mile, it certainly looks like MLS. You need to have one or two difference makers. It doesn't guarantee success. You've got Zlatan on big bucks. LA Galaxy's out. They didn't even make it last year with him. And we're going to come to talk about the Western Conference after this.
Darkness fall across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures clawed in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood, and whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must be stand and face the bounds of hell, and a rot inside of a corpse shell, the foulest stench in the air, the funk of 40,000 years, and grisly growls from every tomb are closing in to share your doom. And though you fight to stay alive, your body start to shiver, for no more mere mortal can insist the evil of the thriller.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory, the University of beautiful British Columbia.
Pamudaka, he's Pamudaka, he's ka.
He could also actually make our Halloween Whitecaps 11, Pamadou Cackle. And he cackled at the end there. Because if anyone didn't know, that was former Whitecap Pamadou Ka. Yep, we went back to Halloween 2017 there. The wonderful Pamadou Ka, who recorded that Vincent Price bit from Michael Jackson's Thriller for us. I still love that. It's one of the favourite things that we've recorded. We've got a video up that Steve put together with like animation and stuff. I'll tweet that out on Halloween as well, so check that out as well.
Before that, for those not only listening to the podcast, is it just me or did you run that Celine Dion promo twice?
No. I played it once. Huh.
Oh, man.
Why the long face? Anyway, all the horse talk was reserved for Cavalry in the first part of the show. This is all about thrillers. We had Pamadou Ka.
Wait, who is a horse face?
Rick Shea.
Oh. That is so mean. Yeah, it's so cruel of you.
Kind of. Well, no, he was more an ass man. Remember that photo of him and his wife?
Laying on the hay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful ass. I always said I'd love to see your wife's ass sometime. Okay,
The donkey?
make a note that
You're
I have
talking
to
about
cut
the
this
donkey?
bit out. Yeah, the donkey, obviously. Jeez. And he said, I asked him that a lot, to be fair. And then one day he said to Nathan, he keeps asking me the same question. And Nathan went, yeah, he always asks me that. This is why we're at 12:47 and we're only in part 4.
It's an 8-part show today, right?
Yeah, I said I'm just going to do a short show tonight because there's not tons to talk about, and Steve's not here.
Look what happens when Steve's not here.
Yeah, the buttons work perfectly.
And the pronunciation.
The pronunciations are better. We love you, Steve. Get well soon. Keep sucking that fisherman's friend. Anyway, let's get back to thrillers. Because the Western Conference semi-finals produced a thriller. And before we get into that, because forget the game on Wednesday, no one cares about that. That was Seattle. They beat RSL. Yeah, so what?
Nicky's last game.
Before we get talking about the LA Derby, we need to get to the bottom of one important question. What was the more exciting playoff derby for you in MLS? That LA one on Thursday night, or Vancouver v Seattle at BC Place in 2017?
Yeah, probably Toronto, Montreal.
Oh.
That home and away was...
You enjoyed that more than the El Tráfico? I hate that, but...
Yeah. Oh, the Seattle-Portland ones have been good too, even though I know they've been good to be at. I know they weren't as exciting on the pitch, but to be at those was...
A lot of folks said
incredible.
Portland, Kansas City, the game that went to penalties was...
Oh, the double post.
Yeah, it was a great one. There has been some really good playoff games over the time. I thoroughly enjoyed the LA Derby on Thursday night. I was really looking forward to it. I was quite hyped up for it, and to me it went even beyond what I was expecting.
So you're not a fan of like defending whatsoever?
No, it's overrated.
You're a fan of poor goalkeeping?
Oh, love poor goalkeeping.
Dodgy
Big fan of
keeper.
Brad Knighton.
He didn't make Knighton. He didn't make your...
No, I guess it could be Night on the Living Dead.
Brad Knight's on the Living Dead.
We'll work on that one. I just thought I had a bit of everything. I do like, when it's not my team, I like defensive mistakes. It's great to watch. It makes for a good game. I do feel, though, both teams maybe should look at their budget next year and go, you know what? Maybe we do have enough attacking players. A defence would be nice to spend some money on once in a while. LA Galaxy desperately need it. We put 4 goals past the LA Galaxy. That should have been a warning sign for them, that they hadn't a very good defence. Several times during that LA Derby, I thought, okay, it's all done and dusted now. LAFC are through, only for the Galaxy to not lie down, come back, and like whatever you think of the Galaxy and how they managed to get past all the rules and get 5 DP players on the books, got to give a hat tip. They deserve a whole lot of credit for just keeping going and making a hell of a game of that.
Yeah, they had a bit of a never say die attitude. But you're right, they were just not good enough defensively.
Carlos Vela had LAFC 2 up by the 40th minute, but let's talk about that second goal. It was so clearly offside, it was so obviously offside that VAR would be like, that's clear and obvious.
Yeah, what do you mean? It's not offside if VAR doesn't call it offside, Michael.
How can you review that and miss that? What is the point of VAR?
Did you see what Zlatan said?
Well, we have Zlatan coming up,
Right,
actually.
sorry,
But
okay.
yeah, I did. I hear what Zlatan said. But what in particular?
Was it not something about you figure with VAR we can get this right, not 4 officials, we have 5 officials. But he said it's maybe a bit of a problem when the 5th official is hanging out with Magic Johnson.
Yeah, having a cup of tea.
We've
got that in the audio we're going to play from Zlatan. Zlatan spoke for 9.5 minutes after the match.
Longest ever?
Possibly, for an after-game thing. 3 or 4 times during it, he said he was quite salty during it. I wanted to play the whole 9.5 minutes on the show, but I've cut it down to 3.
Are you going to play it on the podcast?
Probably not.
Oh.
But he did 3 or 4 times during it. He said, "Why are you talking to me? The winning team's over there." And then that just all played into Fota being really sycophantic as well, because it's like, "Oh no, we want to talk to you. Oh, you're great," and stuff. So that's. He had a big comment afterwards, which we'll hear. But let's come back to Zlatan. But yeah, how can you miss that? It's ridiculous. The referee apparently said afterwards he didn't get the call to go over and look at it. So that's why he didn't go over and look at it. That is absolutely shocking.
Unexcusable.
Totally. Absolutely, totally. Pavon, though, pulled a goal back a minute later. And folk are saying, oh, that goal changed the whole match. I don't think Pavon would have got the goal if that goal had been ruled out. and it would still have been 1-0.
Yeah.
So 2-1 I don't think made any difference, because the whole change and the gameplay would have changed, and he wouldn't have had that chance from kick-off and all that kind of stuff.
That's why these decisions are so important.
Yeah. But Zlatan then, second half, goalkeeper howler, in a match where both keepers had some horrible moments and had some good saves as well. But, talk about inexcusable. That, I think I could have saved that myself.
Yeah. Steve would have had it for sure.
I don't know.
He's a keeper.
I saw him in the media match. I scored a goal past him.
In the media match?
Yeah. He denies it. He said it to a deflection, but it was my goal.
Well, deflection doesn't take a goal away. Wait, deflected off his own team, like a defender?
I can't remember what happened there, but he said it wasn't me, but I'm saying it was.
Yeah, I think he would have had that one in the LA.
It was absolutely terrible, and it was game on, and I genuinely thought the Galaxy were so in the ascendancy that they were going to do it, and that they were going to come back. LAFC had never beaten the Galaxy in their previous meetings, and I thought it was just going to be fate. It's just they were never going to do it. But then a 2-minute spell, Rossi, Diamande, it's 4-2, and you're like, oh, well, that's it over now. Nope. Felcher sucked that winning feeling off them. 13 minutes remaining, 4-3. Game back on.
There you go.
3 minutes later, though, Diamande hits the fifth, 5-3. There was more pressure. Galaxy got an offside call. Zlatan had the ball in the net. It was clearly offside. LAFC went through. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. That was the game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would have liked extra time and penalties just for the drama, but I could have got more out of it, and then there was some magic afterwards as well.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see Bob Bradley's?
No, but I heard about it.
Get lost. Absolutely stupid question from Salazar. Basically saying Carlos Vela's had his critics. Did this silence him tonight? The only critics he's really had are Mexican media who criticise him because he never did anything in Mexico, and they don't look at MLS as a good league. It was a stupid question. Maybe you could have got by with asking it in the week following, but at that moment in time, and I know Bob Bradley can be a bit of an ass at times, and he just looks for the chance for you to say something stupid, and then he pounces on it. But that was a
And then
stupid
didn't he have like his
type
death
question.
stare after that?
Oh, the stare afterwards. He so wanted to go back, and he started to go back because he had more to say, and then something in his brain went, leave it, Bob, leave it, leave it. And then he just walked away and just looked at him. Oh, it was wonderful. But my other favourite post-game moment was Zlatan was coming off, and a guy in a kind of Lucha Libre mask was obviously saying things to him, and Zlatan just grabbed his cock in front of him and kind of went, oh.
Oh, yeah, I heard
that.
about that too, yeah.
And then just walked off. I just thought that was fantastic. And he was asked about it after the match, and this isn't in the audio that we're going to play, and he's like, oh, did you think it was an intimidating atmosphere? And it's like, there's 20,000 people here. I've played in front of 80,000 people. This is like a walk in the park for me. Playing in stadiums like this, it's like training. I love him. He's just so in his own little world.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. I genuinely cannot
that
fault
is a stupid thing to ask him. That, like, only a fool would ask him that kind of question.
Yeah, and he got asked the same thing a couple of times as well, and I tweeted out sarcastically saying, oh, can't wait now for someone to ask him after the game, oh, you haven't won an MLS championship, do you feel your career's a failure? They didn't quite word it like that, but they did say, do you feel your career's incomplete because he hasn't won an MLS championship?
What ignorance and arrogance.
Unbelievable. But talking of Zlatan, going to play a few minutes from his post-game scrum just now. It's wonderful.
For the fans, when there's a lot of goals, it's always exciting and fun. But obviously, for the teams that plays, nobody wants to concede a lot of goals. And today, unlucky, we concede 5 goals. At the same time, we scored 3 goals. So I think the whole season has been like this. We score a couple of goals, but we concede much more than we are scoring. And it's not the way you win. It's not the way you become champion. And I think we should be sad and disappointed. Sad because we are not through. Disappointed because I think we do mistakes that we let them punish us in a way that we have to come back from it, and it's not easy to play like that. But I mean, we can talk a lot now, but it's all about what you do on the field.
Yeah, the world loves you. MLS, Zlatan loves you. Would love to see you back next year with talks maybe according
to LAFC one. You should be over there.
No, we want to talk to you. Apparently
so
talks.
Imagine if I don't play in MLS, who will you talk about?
Exactly right. So with apparently reports have it that talks are sort of cooling off in the culture.
I'm very expensive.
Absolutely, and the Galaxy's got plenty of money. So can we expect to see
MLS
you
have money?
Yes. So give the money to Zlatan. Can we expect to see you here next year if the money is
no?
the right
It's not about
amount.
money. I was joking. I have another 2 months, and we see what happens. I mean, when you play, you want to get credit back for when you're playing, and when you do a lot of things, you want to get credit by what you're doing, and I think we're doing the maximum we can, and win or lose today, still we did the maximum. And like I said, the whole season has been like this. We scored 2, we concede 4. We scored 3, we concede 4. We score 1, we concede 3. And it's difficult to play like that.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I did my best. I think everybody did their best, and what happens next year, I don't know. I mean, if I stay or not, I think for MLS is good because the whole world will watch it. If I don't stay, nobody will remember what MLS is.
The second goal by them was clearly offside. How does that...
Was it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure?
Yes.
And you think we didn't know that?
No, I think you knew that.
But the referee didn't know that.
The VAR didn't get involved in it. But
What was he doing upstairs?
It's a good question.
Drinking coffee with Magic Johnson?
Good question.
Exactly.
But how does that impact just how the game goes on from there? Because that certainly plays a role in this.
It's difficult because if you have the VAR, it means that the game is extra controlled by not a fourth, by fifth referee upstairs. But yeah, if he's drinking coffee with Magic Johnson, then it's difficult to play the game because he has to be in control. He didn't even go out and check. And he said that he needed a signal from the VAR people to go out and check. So what is the VAR people doing? But yeah, I don't want to complain about that, guys. We just lost, and I don't want to be a loser complaining about the ref because it's not my level.
Oh, superb. Like I said, the whole 9.5 minutes, I'm sure it's up on LA's site or somewhere. You've just got to watch. It was hilarious. There was another bit as well where one of the guys said, yeah, you've had a good season though. You got a lot of goals. And it's like, how many goals did I get? And he's like, oh, I'm not sure. And it's like, you don't know? You can't do your job? And then someone said 31. It's like, yeah, I had a good season. Individually, I had a good season. It's like, okay then. He was pretty salty.
He's not back, right?
I don't know. Someone tweeted out that there's a rumour going around that they could bring him back on a kind of reduced deal where he only plays home games. What kind of luck? Only LA can have that kind of luxury.
Is it the Lee Young-pyo? A Lee Young-pyo contract.
He's been good for the league and he's been entertaining. And a lot of folk were pissed off before the game down there because Vela and Zlatan would not talk to media for a couple of days before the game. It's like, yeah, be thankful for the access you get over here because you do not get that access to players in Europe. And I think folk take it for granted. And then before a big game, star players don't want to talk and they get all pissy about it. But they spoke afterwards.
Yeah, don't take your media access for granted.
Yeah, and like I've nothing but complimentary things to say about Zlatan from when he was here. TSN got to speak to him on the pitch after the game here before American media got to speak to him. We got 7 minutes with him in the scrum afterwards. He answered all the questions. He was polite. When someone tried to cut her off when she was asking a question, he's like, no, the lady's asking a question. And he was perfect. He signed autographs for anyone that was wanting
all the media?
them. Obviously, I've got my chest signed. I haven't washed since, as you can probably smell. But he was great here. He's been great for the league. Yeah, he's an arrogant cock at times, most of the time. But, hey, that's the kind of cock I like.
I thought you were going to call him Count.
No.
Count Zlatan.
No. Vela spoke for 2.5 minutes after the game.
In English or?
Oh, he did Spanish as well, actually. So I guess if you lump that together.
Probably more.
Yeah. But anyway, LA Galaxy now go on to face Seattle. Boo.
Sorry, who? Who goes on to face?
The Flounders.
I thought you just
said
LA.
Say LA Galaxy. LAFC. Zlatan is not going on to face anyone. Unless somehow LAFC managed to sign him. There's probably some deal out there that's going to let them do it. Oh, maybe they'll bring him back next year.
No.
Maybe we'll bring him back next year and they only play away
games.
games.
You think Bob Bradley would want that in his locker room? No.
We could bring him back for away games. That could be his contract.
He plays for Vancouver's away
He only
games.
plays in grass pitches. I'd take that. How many goals would he get? Actually, with the midfield we had this year, probably nil. But yeah, so Seattle, LAFC, Tuesday night. Everyone knows Tuesday night is football night. At least there's probably not going to be much on. I don't know. Baseball might be on. Who knows? Seattle got past RSL 2-0. That was a game that didn't feel in too much doubt. Svensson got one in the 64th. Ladero in the 81st. Romando had a couple of big saves, but it's bye-bye.
What did you think of that sending off in that game? Do you see that?
Oh, what was that again? I'd actually forgot about that.
Svensson sort of got fouled by, I can't remember the guy's name now. And everyone, he's like 85th or 86th minute.
Yes.
Everyone went crazy.
Yeah, it was a bad tackle.
Yeah.
That was a shocking tackle. It was right in his ankle. It was studs off the ground. I had done it earlier.
It felt like the game's over, so I'm going to have a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tweeted out something when Seattle made their subs really early. All three of their subs, and I said, this is the time now when RSL need to really start going in with their hard tackles. That did not go down well with Seattle fans.
Oh, on Twitter?
They get very upset when
they
you
don't
want
like
their players injured. I said fairly, of course. And then when that tackle went, I went, he obviously didn't read my full tweet. But Nick Romando bowed out in that one. We spoke about it a couple of weeks back. Absolute legend of the game. Sad way for him to go. He was very emotional afterwards, but he was all class. I don't praise the Seattle fans very often. They were very classy towards him.
Yeah. You got to go out in the last stadium he won an MLS Cup at.
Oh, that was nice.
Were you there?
No.
Oh, I was there.
I've never been to an MLS Cup.
Oh.
I am thinking of going down to LAFC if they do host it.
What if it's in Atlanta?
No. Of course, it could be Seattle TFC. Then it will be
in
in
Seattle. Yeah. You going to go to that?
I would definitely go to that.
It's on the 10th, right?
Yeah. Accreditation's always usually quite limited, but in Seattle they've got a way bigger press box. There's probably more of a chance. Who do you have in LAFC Seattle?
It's hard for me not to want it to not be Seattle, so I would be okay with an Atlanta.
Sounders have never beaten LAFC.
Oh, and LAFC had never beaten the Galaxy until the other day.
Oh, no.
You never know. I think LAFC versus Atlanta.
I think LAFC versus TFC.
Are you going to go to that?
Yeah, it's an LAFC. I want to go to one. I want to see the stadium.
Down?
Well, yeah.
Because you like to drive places.
I do, but not for that.
Yeah.
The main reason I want to go, if it's at LAFC, is I really want to see the stadium. It looks a great stadium. The atmosphere seems amazing. The 3-2-5-2 are fantastic.
I think I'm going to be down there in early season next year, if there is a season. So whether or not there's a game.
If I don't go for the MLS Cup, I'm definitely going when the Whitecaps go down last year.
Next year?
Yeah, next season. if there's a season. I'm on LAFC's mailing list. I have no idea how. But I keep getting not media mailing list, fan mailing list. I may have signed up for something when they were launching or something just to get info. But they keep sending me emails. So they sent me a thing going, tickets have just gone on sale for this game against Seattle. So I happened to be online when it came through. I clicked on right away. I clicked on within 5 seconds of getting the email. I was in a queue in Ticketmaster and there was 2,000 plus people above me in the queue.
So what seats did you get?
Well, I waited until I did eventually get through, and all the main tickets had sold out. There was a couple of really expensive suite ones still available, and a shitload of resale tickets already. Folk just selling their tickets. The cheapest ticket in the 3252 supporters section was over $500.
Oh, there you go.
In the resale.
And
the demand is just insane.
And now you're going to resell it, the one you bought?
Oh yeah, obviously I got that, and I'm touting it for the highest bidder.
I don't know if you saw this, but there's This is there all the time, I think, but someone tweeted out a picture or put a social media picture from outside the 32552, the LAFC end of the stadium. There's big signs like as you're going to the section that say like, you're not allowed to wear any other football club or international jersey in these sections.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And you're strongly encouraged to wear black.
And they do. And the atmosphere is amazing.
Yeah. It's nice.
Also, just
nice
want to say, very, very happy for Jordan Harvey and Stephen Beatus.
Yeah. Back to back.
Beatus, of course, got an MLS Cup. Harvey, I spoke to him a couple of years ago just about what he hoped to still achieve in his career, and he wanted an MLS Cup. It'd be so good for him if he got it. I would be delighted for him. I hope to have him on the show tonight. Not for the first time this season. I've not had a reply from LAFC to the email that I've sent. Hopefully, if they get through, I'll get in touch with him another way and we'll get him on the show for next week.
If only you knew someone who had connections at LAFC.
I don't.
Ask MDS.
Oh, I'll be speaking to him soon as well.
Yeah, he'll sort you out.
It'll be after next week's show.
Okay.
Anyway, what time is it?
Must be wavelength.
It is wavelength time. Now, this month, inadvertently, we had a theme. He's playing with his Lego. We had a theme of songs about goals. I think it's because I saw so few of them this year watching the Whitecaps that I've just kind of got goals. So we're going back to 1986 for this wavelength. And a band that we've featured several times on the show. Not really surprising, since they do have 2 full albums dedicated to football songs, and we haven't played even a quarter of them, so we've got all that kind of stuff. They're from Norwich in England. They're called Halftime Oranges. And
we've had them before.
Yeah. Some folk get an orange at halftime. Some folk get pulled off at halftime.
The song you played last week was great.
I can't remember what it was.
It was the goals song.
Oh, yes. Scoring goals, goals, goals. Scoring goals, goals, goals.
It was like a punk song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them are. This one isn't. Tonight's song is from their first album, Clive Baker Set Fire to Me, and it's about a guy who loves a girl but can't tell her. He doesn't know how because there's a million ways to score a goal, but there's no easy way to tell a girl that you love her. This is Halftime Oranges.
That I haven't found the courage yet to tell you what I felt. haven't told her. Wonder if she'll be eager. When will I get to meet her? When will I get to see her?
Halftime Oranges there. A Million Ways. I was curious as to how many Wavelength songs we've played. We started the section, we'd played some songs on and off, but we'd started the section properly when we got onto CITR. So it was in February 2017. Hazard a guess how many Wavelength songs we've played? So these are songs by bands about football.
Oh, it's got to be between 100 and 150.
Oh, good. 138. I've got a lot more to come.
Are we
They're
gonna?
not all good, but I've got a lot more to come.
That was like one of your more interesting song selections in terms of themes. I enjoyed it. It was nice.
It was.
You know what's also nice?
What?
Bill Curry and BC Soccer Web and all the work they do for bringing you to all the football news around the world.
It's as if we had this planned. Yes, because now it's time for Steve's favourite part of the show. It's BC Soccer Web Headlines, your one-stop site for local, national and international news, stories and a lot more beside. Where do you find it all? bcsoccerweb.com, of course. It's a wonderful site. Check it out morning, noon and night.
What's been catching your eye? What's catching your eye on the site this week, Michael? Oh, what caught Steve's eye?
I never read it.
No, don't say that.
That's a joke I do. No, Steve was sick and he said, well, he didn't talk, but I imagine if his tweet was in words because he's got a sore throat, he'd be like, I'm not well, but do you still want me to put together the headlines? So obviously, being kind, I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great, thanks, just if you've got time. So he has put them together. We are overrunning, and I am debating whether to cut this whole segment out of the show.
No, we're going to do it.
Oh,
We got to
okay.
do it. We got to do it.
All right.
Let's get through the MLS
it
stuff first.
Okay.
Start with your favorite league.
Okay, first up in MLS. This wasn't one of the things that he actually sent, but I'm going to put it in myself.
Oh.
The MLS is coming to Sacramento.
Up the Republic.
I hope the hashtag's going to be #ballsack. What? For football coming to Sacramento. #ballsack.
Yeah, good luck getting that going.
I'll get that going. It's long overdue. They're going to be starting to play in 2022. Promoted from the USL. They finished 7th. It's crazy. They didn't even win the USL and they got promoted
Just
to MLS.
bags of cash. That's all it takes. This is one of those rare instances where I really hope a club will keep its name and logo.
I definitely hope that they keep their whole identity.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
I don't know if they will because MLS doesn't typically like that.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed what they... You've been to a game there, right?
No.
Oh.
I've been to Sacramento, but I never actually took a game in
Oh,
there.
yeah, no.
Our good friend Naveed Mustinshi's down there.
Yeah.
I mentioned that on last week's show. So he's going to be cock a hoop that it's finally coming. It's so overdue. He said, Don Garber said in 2017, there was a case of not now, but when, if. It's going to definitely be coming. And it is. 2022 is close-ish as well. But they've certainly got enough time to get everything ready. They've got new ownership. They've got the money. It's another LA derby. Is there not LA. There's another California derby. Is there too many teams in California? Some folk will be saying.
Can you have too many teams in California?
Texas? I don't think so. It's so big.
Texas, yes.
Texas, I think you can, but yeah.
This is what, the third?
Is there too many teams in Miami?
How many teams are in Texas?
There's going to be 3 with Austin.
Yeah, 3 with Austin.
Yeah, in MLS, and then you've got the ones non-MLS. I think
Only
there's too many
San Antonio,
teams already in... And Austin Bold, don't forget them.
Sorry, who?
Austin Bold.
Is that USL?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And also a typeface on Microsoft Word 2016. Miami. David Beckham. Their MLS team unveiled plans for a $966 million stadium in Miami, which has had delays now, and Don Garber has called it frustrating. The delay is due in part to a report that found arsenic contamination reaching more than twice the legal limits and hazardous debris in surface level soil samples at the Melrees golf course, where people have played more than 50 years.
Know your limits, build within it.
They've also found barium and lead levels above the legal limit. A final vote on Thursday was also delayed, which could delay the overall project. Now, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of folks that are backtracking on some of the commitments that were made. I find it frustrating and at times infuriating. It seems as if we're getting caught up in a political mess that's not of our making. I'm very disappointed. I've no idea who said that, Steve.
That's Garber. I think it was
Garber.
Donnie G. I mean, this thing has been in process in essence since 2007 when Beckham struck his deal with the league that gave him an expansion team for like $25 million. Now, he might have had to pay some time frame extender fees for that. You never know. But this is crazy, man.
Very, very.
This is painful.
Yeah,
regardless, I just hope there's a wonderful stadium for David Norman to play in.
I also, like, when you see the plans, like, the stadium looks nice. And
it looks weird.
Can't
Does it look weird?
It was
look at that
20
picture.
or something, 20,000 odd capacity. It looks like it's going to be too small. And there's no room to expand either with where they're building it because of all the things that's round about it.
Yeah, but if they are ambitious, then they can build a new one in a better location.
It's like LAFC as well need a bigger stadium. And I don't see how they can expand that right as of now.
Yeah, I don't know.
No proper thinking for these teams.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you have to do well enough and for a long enough time before you can expand, right?
Well, yeah.
Your stadium. So just because you did good for a year or two, like LAFC, I guess 2 years, you could say, doesn't mean that the third year you should be expanding your stadium.
No. Moving away.
But you're right. Maybe the initial was a little bit short-sighted.
Moving away from MLS to Europe, as so many players do, and I'm sure Carlos Vela might at the end of the season. UEFA, they have separated Russia and Kosovo in a bid to keep the peace. Russia, which is part hosting Euro 2020, does not formally recognise Kosovo's declaration of independence from Serbia in 2008, though neither do fellow hosts Azerbaijan, Romania and Spain. Now, it might be a little bit far-fetched that Kosovo qualify, but they are an uprising team and they're doing quite well. UEFA has said that Kosovo shall no longer be drawn against each other. Russia and Kosovo will no longer be drawn against each other in any future UEFA competitions until further notice. Earlier this year, Spain were stripped of hosting qualifying games of the Under-17 Euro Championship for refusing to recognise the national symbols of Kosovo. Not really surprising because Spain is very anti-independence. They were obviously against the whole Catalan separate thing. They spoke out against Scottish independence in the referendum as well, so screw Spain. But interesting that you're actually keeping teams apart, so you're fixing a draw in that regard.
Mike, are you talking about like FIFA's never fixed a draw before?
Well, this is UEFA.
Or UEFA's never fixed a draw before?
No.
No, this is all, I think, unfortunate. There's so many hosts for Euro 2020 because it's across the entire continent.
Yeah, Scotland's hosting a game.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. We won't be in it.
In Fife?
No, Glasgow.
Oh.
They
Hampden?
said the 2,000 capacity Bayview probably will be enough for the crappy game we're going to get, but we'll have it at Hampden anyway. Staying in Europe, women's soccer players are going to go on strike in Spain. More than 90% of voting players favoured the strike, and they disagree over issues including the club's decision to limit working hours to 20 hours per week. They want to be guaranteed at least 30 hours a week.
Well, staying on the theme of women's football in Europe, Italy's female soccer stars are fighting to change the law that limits their pay to $33,000. Female players are still considered amateurs by Italian law from 1981 and therefore are not permitted to earn more than 30,000 euros or 33,000, I think Canadian it is, per year before taxes. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that
33,000, that's a king's ransom in the CPL.
I think that 1981 law probably needs a little bit of updating.
I think there's a lot of things, though, that do need updating in Italy and Italian soccer.
Oh, here's this next one's going to make the blood boil.
It's all about the money.
Or China.
China. Rubber stamped to... That was my Donald Trump impersonation
so
before
was
anyone
mine,
thinks
sorry.
I was... Yeah, before they think we're doing Chinese impersonations. No one would do that. China rubber stamped to host a 24-team Club World Cup. They would be hosting the first edition of the expanded Club World Cup in 2021, with FIFA President Gianni Infantino hailing the landmark event as historic and describing it as the first real and true Club World Cup, saying it was a childhood dream come true. That and unicorns. He still hasn't got the unicorns going. After the FIFA Congress unanimously chose China as hosts. No surprise, since it was the only candidate. I'm actually kind of surprised that US and Canada maybe didn't go in for it, because get you some of your stadiums up to date for the World Cup coming up. Infantino told reporters the new tournament will be a competition anyone who loves football is looking forward to. So clearly East Fife and AFC Wimbledon are going to be in it.
and St. Pauli and Union Berlin.
Oh, yeah. There's your World Cup. Infantino, nevertheless, has a battle in his hands, trying to make sure the top European clubs take part, hence East Fife being in it. Last March, the European Club Association expressed concern about expanding the Club World Cup, and its board members signed a letter saying they were firmly against any potential approval of a revised tournament. They've backed off that a little. I do believe CONCACAF's getting 3 representatives in it. MLS Cup winner, CONCACAF Cup winner, Liga MX winner.
Surely it can't be like that.
Who else would you pick?
You got to the top 3 sides in the CONCACAF Champions
League.
League.
The Campeones Cup or whatever crap that was.
Oh, please don't even joke. That would be so sad. The top 3 in the CONCACAF Champions League. No, so you have a 3rd place playoff.
I don't think they'll do that. I think it will be the MLS Cup winner, Liga MX winner,
That will be
and
really lame.
CONCACAF winner, which of course could be the same as Liga MX winner.
Interesting times.
And we'll finish on a high.
Oh yeah,
crack. That gets me high. Gets Canada high, because they've cracked the top 6 in the CONCACAF FIFA World Rankings. If they can get anything out of this American game, we talked a little bit about this last week. Steve had kind of worked it out. They should be in the hex, but there's still a chance for teams to catch them. But at least it's good news.
There's hope.
There's always hope.
This is one of the reasons why I really wanted to. I had flights and accommodation booked for the Orlando game, and but one of the reasons I called that off is because I would like to be there if Canada makes the hex and gets into a game where they can qualify for the World Cup. I was too young back in the day to be in St. John's for the last one.
How old were you?
It was 85. I would have been 6-ish.
Wow. Really?
And I wasn't even following football
You've
then.
had a tough paper round. I thought you were way older than that.
Yeah, no.
I found an interesting
This face is made
old
for
photo
radio.
of you with
What?
no beard.
What? Say that again?
I found an interesting old photo of you the other day. I've been looking through old photos of...
Oh, like hanging out with
things.
football?
Mm-hmm. Way back in
Do you
2008.
Have you? No, that's 2009. Mass's Basement.
I don't know if I got any photos from
painting the
that.
first ever tifo
Yeah.
we ever did together. Do you
Don't know
remember
if
that?
I took... Yeah, of course I remember
If
that.
you go, I
it's
think
the only tifo I've ever painted.
Is it really? The only one?
Yeah.
We got to get you to work. There's if you go on my old pictures on Facebook or whatever, you can see a whole bunch of the 6 or 7 of us they're painting.
They won't let me do it. They say I always cross the line. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up. Just before we go, did you learn anything from this week's show?
You asked me to call you Count Michael from now on.
Yes.
I think it's kind of... I like the word count, but the way you were insinuating it, it makes it a little bit awkward.
I like the word because Mad Hat McGore uses it all the time in his songs.
Count?
I think that's what he's saying, yeah.
I also learned...
I am from the Kingdom of Fife, so really I'm a king.
Count Michael? I'm as usual, when Steve's not here, I miss him.
Oh.
I know you're always
really
it's so better when you guys aren't around.
We didn't really miss you last week.
No, you didn't. Well, you had Tannenwald.
Oh, he was good.
Tannenwald. Oh, that's my favorite thing.
He didn't want to stay up until 4 a.m. this morning.
Tannenwald, who made the comment that you two are really up on your German football, was one of my favorite comments from last week's show. If you can splice that into the beginning of this show at the
See, if Steve had done the
intro,
maybe we'd have.
That would be my.
I learned some interesting stuff from the adverts, but I've kind of forgotten it already. But just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
For Steve, it's at Whitecaps Beat on Twitter. For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm a part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I am Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada, on Instagram at AFTN Soccer, or on YouTube at AFTN Canada. Give Steve a follow as well. He's going to be at Whitecaps Beat on Twitter.
I just said that, but you probably didn't hear that.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I don't do that most of the time. You can also catch Steve waiting for the boats to come in at Steveston. But that is it for tonight's show. We will be back next week, 11 o'clock. Until next week, thanks for listening. Take care, have a happy and safe Halloween, and eat lots of candy. Mon the Goblins.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN